Hi guys, Owen from Square Balloon. I'm going to show you quickly in Photoshop first, and I'm going to move to a free tool so that you guys can replicate this. So what I'm going to show you is these grids that I've made, and basically the idea is that there's always a bit of space around the sides and the top. So if I zoom in, you will see it's kind of like how I did this is that's easier to see with an example. How I did this was I put like loads of the products in. That's about the same shape, that's the same shape, same shape, same shape. Right, so the lollies are slightly different shape, and so the difference here is how close they are to the left and right edges. So if I show the one above it, it's quite a lot further away from the edges, and then this one is, well actually it's about the same, but slightly different shape because of the sticks. This one is really narrow, but what I didn't want is to make it wider. Obviously that would have stretched it. And I didn't, and so obviously it is going to look slightly different in aspect to that. That looks way bigger, but what can I do? I can't make it wider, right? If I scroll down to something like this, you'll see that this one is really wide but not very tall. Obviously if I made it really tall it wouldn't fit on the screen, so I had to make a decision. And the one decision I had to make was, if I just duplicate this, one decision I had to make was I could make this reach to the edge of, you see I have these other two lines on the edges, maybe in a little bit, so I could make it go all the way to the edges like that, but what will happen is this will look kind of oversized compared to, maybe it's not easy to tell from this, but some of them looked really oversized when I did it like that, so I just decided to make a decision to make them all kind of like that. So this one is one of the ones, because it's quite tall as well as wide, it kind of looks oversized compared to like something like that. It's like twice the size of it. So this is why I drew all these lines, because I went through and got every single product and I drew all the lines around the edges, and I wanted to find something that was going to make it suitable for like everything, no matter what shape or size it was. So that's how I came up with this idea. So to move on from that, so this one again, this was a really weird one, because if I made this one like really big, see it had a shadow on the sides, and then the shadow kind of gets cut off, and then it looks a bit unnatural. So I made the decision, see this is like actually part of the packet, but you can hardly see it because it's a see-through packet. So I made the decision to stick within the packet limits for this one, even though it might look like it should go a bit further. What I didn't want to do is cut off a bit of packet and make that look weird. Anyway, this is Photoshop, so let's move on to Photopea. So first thing I do is get the size. So this is for thumbnail, 325 over 250. So Photopea is what you're going into. It's a free tool. I'll click on new project, and what I want to do is 325, 250, oh, yeah, 250, 72 dpi. That's dots per inch, which would matter if it was on a print, but it's not on print. It's on screen, so the maximum it could be is 72 dpi. So I'll hit create, and now I've got my image. Zoom in. I hold Alt and I use the mouse wheel to zoom in, and that gives me a bigger screen. First thing I'm going to do is save it. Can I save it? Yeah, I can save it. I save it as a PSD, which is a Photoshop file. So if I call it, I'll go into properties, pan it, and then images, and I'll just do, this is the thumbnail. So I'll do products, double dash and then thumbnail. And then what I need to do is go to file and maybe edit. How do I place something? Image? It must be file. Terrible demo. Oh, here, open and place. So if I open and place, what I do is I go into here and I find your images, and we're looking at individual items, and then I'll just grab one of them. Right, because I did open and place, it's put it in place. You can see, I press enter, you can see this little icon means it's like a smart object. It's really hard to see this one because of the same color background and the sticks. Anyway, first thing to do is to turn on the rulers. So now my rulers are on, and then I'm going to create down here, this button here is a new layer button, and you should do this for every single product. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to call it rulers. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get all of this and then I'm going to change this, click on it and hold it down, and you change it to the paint bucket, and then I'm going to do black. So now that's black. I'm going to click off of it, and now I'm going to press Control and T for transform. It's also a new tab. Control and T don't work, so edit transform. Scale. Yeah, so if I hold down the Alt button and I pull this side in, the other side comes with me. So I'll go to about there. I just want to make sure there's enough space around the left and right, and also top and bottom. So I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to pull this in. That looks right to me, and that should be enough spacing. So now if I click here and drag down, I can actually place some rulers on those edges. So I want to get it right next to it, and it should snap to it, so you're all good. There you go. And then this one over here. Now I've got my ruler set up. I could just turn off this black square because I was only using it for that purpose. I'll press Control and D to deselect, and now you can see nothing selected. The little dotted line has gone, and now I can delete my rulers layer, and I've got this layer here. And so I will do my image transform, edit transform, edit transform, and then I'll do scale. And now I've got this. Now I'll go on the corner one. If I hold down Alt, it will bring it in and out at the same size, but if I hold down Shift and Alt, it will do it from the center. It will pull the left and right and top and bottom all at the same time, and I can make this nice and even. Now I just got to watch out for that stick because I can't really see where it ends. So I'm now going to adjust it. I could just drag it up and down with the mouse, but I don't want to move it off of the center line because it's already centered. So I'm going to hold down Shift and press the up arrow key, and that's gone a bit too high, so I'm going to get rid of Shift, and I'm just going to press the down arrow key to nudge it down. Shift and the arrow key will increase it by 10 pixels, and the arrow key on its own will do 1 pixel. So if I look at that, I think the sticks are in place. It's a very hard image to see. I'm going to press enter. So now that one is done. If I turn off my background, the great thing you can see now is, in fact I could delete that background. In fact, you know what I'll do? I will give this background a really obscure colour. I'm going to make it like a yellow or something, bright yellow. I'm going to choose my paint dropper, and I'm going to make sure the background is selected and hit the button. If I hide this one, this eye tool will hide the layer. So now you see the background is yellow, and the reason I've done that, I'll turn it back on, is because now if there's any background showing, it'll be really, really obvious to me that I haven't made the image the right size. It shouldn't happen because you've resized all the images to have loads of background on them, so it shouldn't have a problem. But if I stick another one in there, open and place. Let me see if I can find one that would cause us a problem. Normally, these are the old images, obviously. This one will cause us a problem. So I'll just press enter till it's done. I'll turn off the layer above it. Right, so now you can see I can do my edit transform and scale. And in fact it actually is probably right. There's a bit of packet there that you can hardly see, so it probably is alright. But if I was to say, oh, maybe there's a bit at the bottom I want to move. Anyway, the point you can see is that it's really obvious to me that actually the background is running out. But if this was a white background, it might not be as obvious because the background is already quite white. Now obviously, like I said, these are the old images. What you would want to do is you would want to do this with the new images, and that will mean that you can get it. And all you're trying to do is make sure you don't go outside of these ruler marks, because you want to make sure there's at least a little bit of space around the side so it's not touching the edge. It will look really bad if it's touching the edge. So that, my friends, is how you resize it. What I will do is I will save this file and send it to you, an email, and I will also do the same. So if I go to File and New, and then I go back to Photoshop and just check what my size was. 394293. So 394293, and then create. Again, I'll hold down Alt and mouse wheel to zoom in so get more size. I'm going to create a new file. I'll call it rulers, a new layer, sorry, call it rulers, And you know what I can actually do? I can go back to here. I can no, it won't matter. I'll press Control and A to select all. I'll press the fill button and I'll fill it. In fact, what I'll also do at the same time, so I fill the background with that yellow, so I have the same rule. And so then, because I've done that, this one should be a different colour, so I'll do it black. And then I will do my edit and then transform. And what I'm going to do is just hold down Alt, drag it in so they come in at the same time. I think that's good. I'm doing it by eye, but it's okay as long as there's some gap around the edge. So hold down Alt, bring it down, and I'm doing it by holding Alt because I want the bottom and the top to be exactly the same size. I don't want them to be different. It would be uneven, it might look weird. I'll press Enter, and now I've got my rulers already turned on. I can drag my rulers down. So I don't know if the rulers will export with the files, so this is why you need to know how to do this. And again, it doesn't need to be exact in the black square that I've created. It just needs to be a little bit of gap on the edges so that things, oh, that hasn't worked, so that things are not touching the edge basically. Locked guides. Okay, if you can't select the guide and you've made a mistake, oh, locked guides, unlock guides. Okay, I can't get rid of the guides. So okay, so what I'm going to do is clear the guides, and I'm going to start again. So this time I'll make sure it's snapped before I let go of the mouse. Rookie error. Okay, cool. Now I'm happy with that. I'm going to delete my rulers black square, and I'm going to save this as products main. Okay, so I've got products thumbnail and products main. And now again, it's file, open and place. When you do open and place, so if I do open, I'll just show you the difference. It opens a new file. That's not what I want. Now it's a different size, and I'm editing the main JPEG, which I don't want because I could destroy it or degrade it basically. If I do file and then I do open and place, what it does is it places it onto the canvas that I've already made, and as I said, if I press enter now to deselect it, and as you can see, this little icon means it's a smart object, and that means it doesn't degrade. So if I go to edit, transform and scale, when I scale it, I'm not actually editing the original image, so this problem you were seeing with the blurriness won't occur. So you can see here I held down Alt and Shift and I'm resizing it, and it's great, it's resized it, but the right hand side is nowhere near the margin, so I'm going to go just a little bit higher. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to use my arrow keys. I'm going to use Shift and arrow keys. Oh, why isn't that working? Maybe if I check, I've got the move button, Shift and arrow keys, there you go, that's working. It also looks like it's a bit low for me. I'm going to just nudge it to the right slightly. That looks okay. Shift and up, Shift and up. Looks kind of central. Again, it's slightly wonky, so I could, if I wanted to, I could go to free transform, and then I zoom out a bit. And this, see this icon now has the two arrows left and right. That will allow me to rotate it. So it's kind of tricky to do it by eye, to be honest with you. If you want to, you can bring down a ruler just to see. Look, that's kind of straight. You know, it's not an ideal picture. It may not look perfect, but good enough is what we're aiming for. But if I wanted to just say, okay, like that maybe. Now I'm using my ruler and I think it looks kind of straight. Again, like the bottom bit, it's not straight now because that's just the nature of the product. It's not a perfectly straight picture or anything like that. Maybe your new pictures are, I don't know, but don't get obsessed with perfection. This bit's a little bit over, up to you whether you deal with it. These bits are quite a bit below it, so you know, you've got to make it so it's not too close to the edge, but so that the main product is still being shown. So I'll press Control S to save that. You see there's a star up here, disappears when I've saved it, so you know it's saved. If there's a star there, it means you haven't saved it yet. You can actually do all of the images on the same file. I'll just press Enter to accept that. I'll turn off this one so I can see my yellow still. I will do Image and Transform. Oops, sorry, Edit and Transform. And then Shift, Alt and drag the edge. If I hold Shift and drag it around, it kind of tries to keep it in the middle for me. I still think that needs to go to the side a bit. So another thing to do, I should have said this at the beginning maybe, if I just duplicate this layer, I'll use this one instead of the rulers layer that I had before. And what I'm going to do is Control, sorry, not Control T, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform. When I do that, you get these icons up to drag the edges. I'm not going to drag it, I'm going to use them for the rulers. I'm going to drag a ruler out to the middle one, and I'm going to drag a ruler down to the middle one, and this helps me to understand dead center. Now I'm going to delete this layer, and now I know where dead center is. And now if I turn this layer back on, select it, and now go to Edit and Transform. And now I can try and say, oh okay, it's nearly there. I think maybe, I'm doing this by eye by the way, I'm not using these markers because they are markers for the image as a whole, which includes all the white stuff. So if this not in the center of the white stuff, then you won't be doing it in the center by using these markers. So I'm using my eye just to check that looks about center to me based on the product and the center line. So that's another technique that you should be using, is basically making sure that you've got the center lines for the rulers, and also making sure that you've got the border lines for the outside. So you might have wondered at the beginning, what on earth were all the lines I had, and now you know. I can get this, see that icons come up, I can drag it off up to the top and let go, and now I only have the rulers that I need. I don't think these rulers are going to export with this file, so that's why I'm teaching you how to do this yourselves. The last thing I haven't taught you is how to save them once you've done it. So if I go to File and then Save More, Export As, and I'm going to export it as a JPEG. What else options do we have? Yep, JPEG would be the perfect one. Unless you cut the backgrounds out. If you're cutting the backgrounds out, you need to save it as a PNG because that will have transparency and the JPEG won't. And then I'm just going to give it the right name, Chewits. Fruity Twist. So what I normally do is I normally call it the name of a... Oh. Hello, I'm speaking. Oh, hey, can you call me back in 2 minutes? Literally 2 minutes will be fine. Thanks. Bye. Right, so I give everything a naming convention. What I would say to you is, I know you were helping when you put the pound sign and the numbers on there, but some file systems don't like the pound sign, so try to avoid that. And what I do with Chewits, I would put all of them starting with Chewits and then a double dash and then the variant. If it's like the flapjacks, then I would call it flapjacks, double dash, and then the variant. And that way, when you have all the files, they'll all be like in the right order. So all the flapjacks will be next to each other. Whereas if you did apple flapjack, blackcurrant flapjack, strawberry flapjack, then it would all be under A and then B and then S. Whereas if you do flapjack strawberry, flapjack apple, all the flapjacks will be next to each other. That's just a little thing I do, which helps you to view the files in a logical order. So I'm going to save this. I'm not going to change any of the settings here. You can put this down 70%. I don't know if does it preview it. So I think you could mess around with it. What this does is it reduces the file size, but often the quality is still okay. So I wouldn't leave it at 100%. I probably would reduce it, and which might seem counterintuitive because you're saying you've seen blurry images. But have a look at it, judge it by eye. If there's no noticeable difference or it's negligible, then reduce the file size because the website will load quicker. So I'll save that. I just like it in my graphic design folder and plant this planet and then images. and then make a folder, something like that, just so they're all saved in a nice easy place to find. Save that. What you should do is turn off all of the other layers, because it will be slightly smaller file size as well. So I could resave that, I won't because it's just a tutorial. And now if I do this, and then I go to File, Save More, export as JPEG, and then this one I'll change the name again, Fruit Pastilles, and then save it. You don't want to attach the metadata. I don't know if you saw that option there. The metadata is like, when was the picture taken, which camera took it, blah 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 blah. You don't need that data stored as part of your image because you're just using it on a website. Maybe the photographer might use that image one day and need that information, but what you need is a very small file size and a fast loading website. So I'll control this to save that. So there you have it. That's the way you make your rulers, so you get everything within the right place. That's how you resize things and make sure that everything's nice and even. That's how you save it, and that's how you export it. And I'm pretty sure that's all you need. When I do this, I have products main and products thumbnail. I'm going to send you these files anyway, so you don't have to do the setup, hopefully. When I export as a JPEG, I have a folder for the thumbnails and I have a folder for the main ones. And if you do that, and then you send me, once you've done all of the images you've done, if you export them all in JPEGs, put them into nice folders. Naming convention should be properly, so it shouldn't be difficult for me to work out which image goes with which product. If you do that and then zip them all up and then email it to me, I will upload them to the website the quick way rather than one at a time, which might take you a while. And then we can just quickly go and replace. Well, I teach you guys how to replace the images as part of your tutorials on how to use the site, and then you guys should be able to do that quite quickly, hour or something like that maybe, hopefully anyway. And then your site will look all sparkly and ready to go, I hope. Alright, thanks for watching. If you've got questions, just ask me, guys. This is I really like teaching, and I really like teaching this stuff because I've been doing it for years and I'm quite good at it now. This will be the best way for you to get non-blurry images at the right size. It's a bit more tricky in terms of difficulty level, but hopefully this tutorial has made it seem easy enough. This is a really powerful tool. You don't need to know all of this stuff. You just never use it, I'd imagine. But for resizing, this is perfect. Alright, thanks for watching.